Tearaway is one of the most fascinating games to look at from an analytical lens. The game released to mass critical acclaim for its unique story, brilliant use of the PlayStation Vita's features, and just magical feeling that it emanates overall. While the game was critically acclaimed by those who played it, it was also the unfortunate victim of releasing on a console that no one actually had. The PS Vita was an infamous console that sold only 10 to 16 million units in its entire life cycle. This left Tearaway to forever be faded as an underrated masterpiece, never to be played by the masses. And is why Sony attempted to re-release the game and reimagine its gameplay mechanics for the PlayStation 4 console. While Tearaway Unfolded shared the same narrative plot as the original Tearaway, while even adding some extra game content, fans quickly realized that something was missing from the game. While the story remained the same, the magic of its gameplay was unfortunately lost to translation from the shift from PS Vita to PS4. To put it simply, the magic that the original Tearaway had could only exist through the medium of the PS Vita. And in this essay, I will explore exactly how Tearaway's narrative, gameplay features, and use of intermedia was able to create said original spark, and exactly what made the PlayStation version so different. So without further ado, sit back, get a snack, and enjoy. Before we look at the differences between the two versions, it is important to see what parts still work about Tearaway Unfolded. Despite the criticisms that I mentioned in the intro, both games still share the same DNA, and there's a lot to be enjoyed about the both of them as well. In particular, the papercraft system in both versions does an excellent job at expanding the game's magic circle. As for exactly what this means, according to Katie Salen and Eric Zimmerman, the magic circle is where the game takes place. To play a game means to enter the magic circle, or perhaps creating one as the game begins, where in effect a new reality is created defined by the rules of the game and inhabited by its players. As for how exactly does this papercraft system expand the magic circle? Well, it does so by bringing the aspect of creativity that is in the Tearaway games to real life. For completing certain tasks and achievements within the game, the player unlocks the exclusive real-life schematics for the papercrafts themselves, where the player can print them out and build them to live alongside them. This in turn expands the magic of the game, where this sense of creativity is no longer bound to the console itself, but is brought into the real world, and for a moment that circle expands beyond the confines of the console. While this is about where it stops in terms of immersion for the PlayStation 4 edition, the PS Vita version takes it magnitudes further. One example of this would have to be the controls. Tearaway Unfolded uses a pretty standard control output, with the only main difference being the use of the PlayStation's touchpad. The PlayStation Vita version, however, creates an intimate relationship with the player and the game via its use of the back touchscreen. The way in which it is used for both versions is by using the touch part of either your console controller or the PS Vita. Your finger actually interacts with the world around it. While this works well enough for the PlayStation version, it doesn't feel as direct as it does with the PS Vita. With the PS Vita, the back touchscreen is almost like a direct hole to the game itself. You're touching the back of the screen and your finger comes out from the back as well. Aubrey Annabelle's paper, Playing with Code, argues that touching in the right way makes the relationship between the game's code and its images sensible. This is a way of feeling code. It's a kind of intimacy with occupational systems we do not generally experience through other digital interactions. This is exactly what Tearaway on the PS Vita does. Through its use of the touchscreen, we are able to feel the world that we're interacting with. Things that we touch have a direct correlation, whereas the PS4 has a degree of separation through the controller itself. The main objective of Tearaway is to guide the little letter boy Iota to you, the sun. In a sense, it can be seen as one of the most true ways of forming a relationship with the player towards the game. And according to Gordon Salasia, the link between player and game is created through the kinesthetic relationship between player and avatar, which in turn implies that the actions that you do through the PS Vita, such as the back touchscreen and actions like blowing to make the wind move within the game, are those exact actions that create that relationship that the PS4 simply lacks. While there is a layer of interactivity on the PS4 version, the acts are not a reproduction of the players in the same way that they are on the PS Vita. It's one of the key flaws that comes with remaking a game that wasn't designed for the console you're making it for. And once again, we can also see this through the use of the camera within the game. One of the most important features within the original Tearaway is the fact that you are the sun. The game uses the PS Vita's front-facing camera to constantly show you wherever you are within the game. If you look up at the sky, your face will show because you are the end objective. But because the PlayStation 4 doesn't have a camera, the sun is instead replaced by a white circle. In Mary Flanagan's and Helen Niesenbaum's Game Elements, The Language of Values, they argue that game hardware shapes how designers think about games. Tearaway on the PS Vita is a perfect example of this. Each element, from the sun and the sky to how you interact with the world, was designed with the PS Vita in mind. In an interview with the game's lead designer, Rex Kroll, he states that they put a large amount of effort into making their paper world feel like you're actually touching it, that everything you touch reacts. The touch controls were an element that was on the forefront of the developers' minds throughout the entirety of the game's development, and it makes sense as to why the port didn't work, as it's a game that wasn't meant for that console. While all these elements aid in creating an immersive experience for the player, it's really the narrative that brings everything together for them in the end. It's the accumulation of all these aspects put together in combination with the journey that you and Iota go through together that makes such a powerful ending in the original PS Vita version. But this is also where Tearaway Unfolded, its flaws shine best, for lack of a better word. As stated prior, the entire journey is meant to be about delivering Iota the letter to you, the person in the sun. And when finally arriving there, Iota transforms into a letter, delivering his final message to you, the player. This is where the game makes its final attempt to reach out to the player one last time, to blur the lines between the game and reality, allowing you to fully immerse yourself within the story and become part of it as well. In the original, the very last scene of the game is a cutout of Iota being unfolded to the image of you. It's an invitation to make Iota in real life, and it's the point where you unlock the papercraft for Iota. It's the point where Iota finally achieved his goal in reaching you. However, in Tearaway Unfolded, this message just simply doesn't get across. Instead of you being there when Iota unfolds himself, you are instead presented with a picture of the sky. No longer is the journey about Iota trying to make it to you and forming a connection with you, but rather Iota is making it to the real world. The use of the camera in the original game was a means to forever link the game to the player playing it. It was the game's last attempt to expand the magic circle beyond the game's existence. It's a really bold and admirable statement to make, and it's something that gets completely diluted in its remake Tearaway Unfolded. The narrative only works if the gameplay mechanics that came with the original game are there alongside it. The game is truly a byproduct of its time, and it's likely we'll never see something like this again. It was truly lightning in a bottle, and no attempt to remake the game can recapture the magic that the original had. It's a truly special experience that I highly would recommend to anybody willing to try, and it's a real shame that the PS Vita couldn't last long enough for enough people to enjoy it.